You start a new Minecraft world, make some basic tools, loot some structures, and maybe you'll even take the time to set up a basic iron farm or a makeshift villager trading center. But then you get bored. 10 minutes in or 2 hours in, it doesn't matter, at some point you get bored. And then you quit the world, never to return. A few weeks later, you go through it all over again, starting a new world and quitting it. I've gone through this countless of times, and I believe many other people have gone through similar experiences. At least that's what I've heard. That begs the question, why do we get bored? And how can we fix it? How can we enjoy Minecraft again, like many of us used to earlier? I think the reason why we're bored is because Minecraft in its current state doesn't play into the strengths that it naturally has. The core gameplay loop of Minecraft consists of breaking blocks and picking up the resources, and then using these resources to build something. That's quite a simple and satisfying gameplay loop, but I think modern Minecraft tends to distract more from this core gameplay than support it actually. So, for example, in the case of structures, you go around looting structures, but then you just get some resources from chests instead of mining them actually, and also you don't really have to build anything to get this loot, you don't have to mine a lot of blocks. It's just something that's completely divorced from the actual resource gathering and building part of Minecraft. And then villager trading, for example, there you get resources just through clicking through menus. The trading menu, I mean, it's just boring to click on these buttons when you could be mining a block. I think that's just way more satisfying to swing your pickaxe than to click on a villager. Then of course there's a lot of tedium involved with, especially with the villager trading stuff. Always placing and breaking the workstations over and over again. That's just boring, and in my opinion it's quite bad game design that should really not be encouraged in the way it is. Another thing is auto farms. Basically every item nowadays can be automatically farmed, and this means that mining the blocks by hand is way less efficient than just setting up a farm, but then you lose the satisfaction of actually mining. I think it's a very important part for the survival experience to actually gather your blocks by hand. Of course you could just not build these farms, but the temptation will always be there, and you will always know that you're doing it inefficiently, and it really doesn't help that every YouTube video always shows you these crazy farms and the people who build crazy stuff with stuff they got from farms. But I think, why don't you just play creative mode then? Especially in these videos, the people don't actually design the builds in survival, they design them in creative and then use a schematic mod to then paste them into their survival world with resources they got from automatic farms. So I don't really get why they play survival still. It's basically just for bragging rights or whatever. But the core survival gameplay is just completely lost. I think it's I like creative, but I don't want my survival to be creative. When I play survival, I want a survival experience, and I want to design cozy builds in survival on a scale that's appropriate for survival. And if I build something really big in survival, then I want to build it by hand. Then I really have the bragging rights, Well, they can just be proud of all the work I put in. And that's why I don't play modern Minecraft anymore. I've actually been enjoying my time playing versions before the adventure update, beta 1.8. So I mostly play, at the moment, beta 1.5, but also 1.7.3, which a lot of other people prefer. And I've really been having fun for these last 4 to 5 years now. Of course, At first it was because of nostalgia, but then I quickly realized that these versions just really were better. They just play better. The gameplay is designed much more coherently. There aren't so many things that take away from the core gameplay loop. And yeah, the hunger system isn't as annoying. You only have to eat after you took damage, and then you could even just run around with low health for a while. And the limited block palette, I don't really mind it. People say limitation breeds creativity, and you can really feel that here. It's pretty easy to find the right selection of blocks for your build. If you need a weird color, you would use wool, and otherwise you would use logs, stone, sandstone, and whatever other odd block you want to use. And then it's quite easy to collect them, because you don't need hundreds of different blocks for a single build. So you can just collect a bunch of cobblestone in bulk and a bunch of logs, and then you can start building. The limited blocks and items are also really helpful when it comes to inventory management, because I rarely find myself running out of inventory space in these old versions, but in the modern versions I usually have like a piece of rotten flesh, some seeds, some flowers that all clutter my inventory, and then I have like 18 stacks of different building block variations and different slabs and stairs and whatnot. And it can be really annoying to keep your inventory organized, to put the right blocks on the hotbar, constantly having to open the inventory. All the time you would pick up another seed or another flower or another piece of rotten flesh, and then your inventory is a mess again. That just doesn't happen to this degree in the old versions. And then the survival experience. The night is actually dangerous, because you can't sprint away from mobs and have limited healing. It's also much darker at night, so you really want to stay at home at night usually. You also can't just skip the night by placing a bed out in the open, because then a monster would spawn next to the bed, or in some versions there aren't even beds. So yeah, this really encourages you to actually engage with the building mechanics, to build a nice place that's also nice to stay in at night, so you would take care with the interior to have some stuff to do at night. I also just like the old world generation a lot. There are all these cliffs and overhangs, sometimes even a floating island, and the bodies of water, in my opinion, look much more natural than in other versions, because they actually arise organically from the terrain generator and aren't a set biome that was predefined. Sure, since 1.18 there are some pretty impressive mountains, but they're honestly way more predictable than I would have thought at first. These mountains typically come in only two shapes, either a weird plateau with most of the time meadows on top, or a pointy mountain range that looks cool, but it's always very similar. The unique kinds of overhangs and cliffs you see in old Minecraft do appear, but they're very rare and only usually limited to one very small mountain, while you could find a mountain range as far as the eye could see, where each mountain is unique with a weird shape. And these weird and unique shapes, I think, they just inspire you to build something cool. You could put a glass wall under the overhang, make your base inside it, or you could hang something down from under the mountain, or build an aqueduct, or whatever. There are so many ideas that constantly flood your mind when you walk through this old world, undistracted from structures. There are quite a few people who have actually gone back to Minecraft Beta and Alpha, and usually a lot of people just write it off as nostalgia. Yeah, they only go back because that's nostalgic for them. But honestly, it's not just nostalgia. Of course, at first it might be nostalgia that gives you the impetus to try it out again, but then once you've played these older versions for 4 or 5 years, like me, I don't think you can write it off as nostalgia anymore. I genuinely just enjoy my time more with old Minecraft. So if you find yourself bored, disillusioned by modern Minecraft, I'd really encourage you to check out an old version again, maybe the version you started again. Many people go back to beta 1.7.3 because it was the last version before the adventure update that changed a lot of stuff. And in general, I'd like to hear your opinion on this in the comments. And also, please link me your world tour if you have one. And check out my world tour videos of my beta 1.5 world if you like. Or just subscribe so you don't miss my next world update or another one of these kinds of rambly videos. That's about it. Bye bye.